So, this verse 42 and verse 43, of course, we are taking together here. And so what I said in verse 41 is this. We have discussed that two types of people, two types of buddhis, two types of understanding. Of course, one is not understanding, but let's say understanding. The people, Vyavasayatmika buddhihi eka, Bhagavan says. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi eka means the people who have a clarity with regards to means and end. And that is, then it is one only. End is moksha, means is jnana. And the seeker of the moksha could be a karma yogi, may not be a sannyasi, or maybe a sannyasi, either. But both are clear that this clarity of means and end is there. That moksha is the only goal of life. Eka buddhihi, clear, single understanding, well ascertained understanding. That moksha alone is the goal. There is no other goal of life. People who don't understand, for them there are several goals. Why four? There are several. But we divide into four. That is different thing. It is a broad category. That's a different thing. But anyway, so here the Vyavasayatmika buddhi means the clear understanding, well ascertained understanding is one alone, Bhagavan says, and that is end is moksha and means is jnanam. And karma yogi who has not taken up sannyasa, etc., who is maybe a householder, etc. And definitely he is doing the same activity which he was doing earlier before getting the exposure to the shastra or the teacher or satsanga, etc. And before that he was doing activity. Now right now also he is doing activity. Only the difference occurred in his attitude. That's all. And attitude is definitely that prayerful attitude for behind any karma, and that itself brings a chitta shuddhi. That also is clear what it will bring, and and that will make him unable to pursue the knowledge, atma jnanam, and that will give moksha. All this is clear to him. Another one who is a sannyasi with a different lifestyle, of course, and he is also doing shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam, etc. And he is also clear that through he is doing all these disciplines. Shravanam itself is a discipline, and mananam is a discipline, nididhyasanam is a discipline. Well, he is pursuing atma jnanam. They are the sadhanas for all this, shravana, manana, nididhyasanam, and moksha is the only goal of a life. That is very clear to him. So both have a vyavasayatmika buddhi. They are in a different lifestyles, but and as much as karma yoga is concerned, well, definitely any karma can become karma yoga. We have some specific karmas. We call them nishkama karmas, or we have described to you panchamahayagnas, etc. They are called nishkama karmas. Some people call them sattvic karmas. That all is the same thing. Well, they are specific karmas which are really in which the attitude is there, because yajna means some kind of a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is nothing but that you are offering your action to Ishvara. So they are there, but other than that also, being a grihastha, he may be doing a lot of other activities. Of course, all the activities are based on dharma only, but he can convert those activities into karma yoga. Person, if you are conforming to dharma in your activity, it need not be you are doing karma yoga. No. That's how the Arjuna was, even though all the Pandavas were dharmikas, but Arjuna was not doing the karma for the sake of karma yoga. Otherwise, Bhagavan would not have described in so many words. Why should he describe that if he is already a karma yogi? He should give him a knowledge and he would be free. And in second chapter, this many verses are enough, up to verse 30. That's all, that much Bhagavad Gita is enough for that. No. So he was doing karmas based on conforming to dharma, but for personal glories. And therefore ragadveshas are there definitely. And why not? Kshatriya, being Kshatriya, he is interested in the glory, etc. And so he acquired so many things. Many Astra, Shastra, etc. he acquired. I mean, he gained several achievements. Well, of course, all activity in which his choice for all the activities based on the freedom was based on universal values or dharma, etc. I mean, he has not abused his freedom of doing activity, I mean for the sake of gaining personal glories. But here, so any activity which is based on dharma still has to be converted to karma yoga. With just he doesn't want anything because it's clear. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. He knows that moksha alone is a goal. And karma yoga is a means of moksha. Like jnanam. Like atma jnanam is a means of moksha. Atma jnanam is a moksha as such. But let's say atma jnanam, shravanam, nidhyasanam is a direct means of moksha. Karma yoga is an indirect means of moksha. This man. But all thing is clear to him. The means and end, everything is clear to even karma yogi also, or even the person who is a sannyasi who is directly pursuing even jnana. Anyway, so having pointed out the difference between these two types of understanding, and Bhagavan said in the next line in the verse 41 that avyavasayatmika buddhayaha avyavasayatmika buddhi is bahushakaha anantaha, etc. Anyway, well, this buddhi, this understanding, we should not say understanding, they are notions. Well, bahushakaha, they are numerous, have many branches, and anantaha, they are many in number also. And that we know. A given pursuit, a single pursuit called artha, and that too in that also a pursuit called dhan, gaining wealth, etc. Number of ways to people are employing for gaining wealth, starting from job, business and what not. People are employing thousands of ways to acquire one goal called gaining wealth, etc., which comes under artha. So the artha itself is not a pursuit to begin with. Artha itself is really not a purushartha. No one is interested in artha. No one is interested in gaining security. Since I have a sense of insecurity, since I feel insecure, definitely I will go after so-called sources of security. Otherwise, if I feel secure, definitely, no, it's not feeling. If I have understanding that I am secure, well, I will not do any activity. No one is interested in activity, to be honest with you. Everyone, because we are compelled to do, because if we have a sense of insecurity, we have a sense of sorrow, etc., or sense of limitation, and therefore we are compelled to do. That's how we are really speaking. All activities are compelled, basically, because of our these desires for to come out of the sense of insecurity and even this sense of limitation, sense of discomfort. We have just a general sense of discomfort within us. Anyway, so now having pointed out the difference in understanding, Bhagavan talks about these people who are not clear regarding means and ends. So one who possesses this avyavasayatmika buddhi, what kind of people they are, what is their understanding, what do they talk, etc., etc. Bhagavan is making this, Bhagavan is showing us in verse 42, 43 and 44. He is showing this. Now let's take first this 42 and 43. In that also 42 we'll see first. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashitah vedavadratah partha nanyat asti iti vadinah kamat. This yamimam pushpitam vacham, he partha. So that's here Arjuna. Avipashitah. Avipashitah means who do not have who are lacking in discrimination in terms of purushartha viveka. That the person who is clear, he has that discrimination. Viveka is there, purushartha viveka is there. That between artha and moksha, really a human heart wants only moksha. Between kama and moksha, really speaking, moksha alone is a goal. Between dharma and moksha, moksha alone is a goal. He has discerned that way. But the people who do not have this kind of discernment, well, who is not clear. So this non-discriminating people Bhagavan is calling here is avipashita. And vedavadarataha. Vedavadarataha means those who remain engrossed. Engrossed where? Engrossed in the purva bhaga of the Veda. That's the karma kanda portion of the Veda. Anyat, anything else, nasti. Other than that, there is nothing. Other than the karmas and the karma phala, there is nothing. That's what they say. Iti vadinaha, that is how they say, this is how they argue, even they argue. We feel that Vedantis are big, they only argue with everything. It's not. They have their own arguments, so much regarding Ishvara and regarding karma, regarding karmaphala, regarding swarga, and regarding purushartha. For everything they have a big arguments. Kamatmanaha, and if you want to see the arguments and justifications of the karma kanda, including the so-called violence in the yajna, etc., you better see Satyartha Prakasha of our Dayanand Saraswati, our Arya Samaj, one who has established Arya Samaj, Dayanand Saraswati. You see that Satyartha Prakasha, that particular book, you will find that the way he has justified, my God, everything. So for him, the Karmakanda portion of the Veda is the only Praman. This Upanishad, etc., he doesn't bother much. He will just say it is all Arthavada, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. He doesn't give much importance. Karma is important, and he justifies so many things. We call as we show as some kind of a defects, etc., in karma, while he will not agree. Anyway, this is how they argue. Iti vadinaha, means this is how vadi means this is how they argue. And then in the 43rd verse they say what kind of people they are. I mean, those who are, for us, our understanding is what they are having this avyavasayatmika buddhi. They are not clear about means and ends. And what kind of people they are, that is been told even in verse 43 also. Kamatmanaha. Kamaha atma yeshante iti kamatmanaha. Their atma is kama alone, means those who are full of desires. They are embodied kamas, full of desires of objects of happiness and security, etc. Those who are full of desires. Swarga paraha, well, swargaha paraha yeshante. Swargaha paraha. For them the only commitment is swarga. For them the only purushartha is swarga. Those with heaven as their highest goal. Then bhoga aishwarya gatim prati. Bhoga aishwarya, for the attainment of pleasure and power. Aishwarya means power, bhoga means pleasure. Gatim means for the gati means prapti, attainment here. Gam dhatu is always to, even in English, gam dhatu has a meaning of to go as well as to reach, to achieve, that is. And so gati, the word gati is very popular in our shastra. And gati means a goal, attainment, achievement, for that it is used. Anyway, then janma karma phala pradam, and so leading to better birth as a result of their action. Kriya vishesha bahulam, well, many special rituals. Yam imam, these, yam imam means this, pushpitam, flowery, and vacham, words, pravadanti, utter. So what it says is, He Partha, the non-discriminating people, well, the people who are having this no clarity regarding means and ends, etc., those then who remain engrossed in karma enjoined by the Veda, and that too the Purva Bhaga of the Veda, means those who have not crossed the boundaries, those who have not jumped the fencing and come to the Upanishads. And even if they have come, then they have gone back again, gone back to the Veda Purva Vibhaga only. And those people, what they do, they argue that there is nothing other than this. Means what? Nothing other than karma or karma phala. There is nothing beyond that. Who are full of desires, kamatmanaha, and what is their goal? With heaven is their highest goal. Well, what they do? Utter these flowery words, pushpitam vacham pravadanti. Yam pushpitam vacham pravadanti. They utter these flowery words, and in that flowery words, why do you call flowery words? Because they talk about special rituals meant for the attainment of the pleasures and powers, and of the results in the form of better births also. Because janma karma phala pradam, etc., clearly indicates better births, birth in heaven, etc. So now let's go into this. There are several things we will have to discuss in this. So those who see clearly are avipashita. Who are clearly, they are called vipashita. Vipashita means a clarity regarding. Vipashita basically means, a discriminative person is called vipashita. But what kind of a discrimination here? It is not Atma and Atma Vivekata. Even he is also called Vipashit, but here that is not the reference, because we are talking something different. And so the context here is the clarity regarding means and end. And therefore Vipashit means who have a discrimination with respect to means and ends. That's all. So they like Purushartha Viveka, as I told you, Nitya Nitya Vastu. Viveka you can tell that also. So here Avipashita means, well, it's opposite. So those who do not see clearly. So they don't have a Vyavasayatmika buddhi. That's all we have to say. And there are people who may, see but not clearly. See, what happens is, the intellect has two types of power. One is called a Prajna Shakti and other is a Medha Shakti. And generally, if it is less, then both are less. Generally, it happens so. Prajna and Medha both are less. What is Prajna? Prajna means a clear understanding of a subject matter. What a particular text wants to convey, what Shastra wants to convey to you. If you get through and through in your understanding that this is what the Tatparya or the purport of the Shastra or Veda, let's say, then you will have a Prajna. Then you have a Prajna, we can say. And well, that is not enough. You should have a Medha. You should be able to retain that understanding, clear understanding. You should be able to retain. And so you require Medha also. That's how in our, Dakshinamurti Moola Mantra, we always pray for both the powers. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medham Prajnam Mayam Shriyam Medham Prajnam Prayachha Swaha. So Medha and Prajna both are required. Medha Shakti also gives you a facility that what has gone by and what is coming, you want to find a connection. That is very important, that what has gone by. Now if we have really forgotten, where is the question of connection? So what has gone means it is gone for us. So we are really fresh. Every day we are fresh. What has gone is gone. So we don't have, but some people possess that. Some people possess that. Swamiji, you have told on so and so class this thing. And now how will you connect this? Now about today what you are saying, it looks very opposite to what you have told earlier. So this kind of a connection, that's called Medha. Very important thing, very, very important. That's how we have special prayer for Medha also. Yaschandasa Vrishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyo Dhyamrutaha Tsambhavuva Samendro Medhayaha Sprunotu, etc. etc. So my point is, for Medha we have it, but both the powers should be there in intellect. And this pursuit is basically has a lot of connection with the intellect. This pursuit. Which pursuit? Pursuit of Jnanam, definitely. It has a lot of, and that's how in Vivek Chudamani, Acharya says that, well, Sadhan Chatushtaya Sampatti is there. Yeah, that is there. But more than that, also the person should have another qualification called Panditaha, Medhavi, Uhapoha, Vichakshanaha, etc. etc. In verse 14 or 13, he described this. So, Medhavi, so he should be able to retain the meaning. He should be able to grasp the meaning and then retain the meaning. Grahana Shakti, Dharana Shakti, both. So, Grahana Shakti is Prajna, Dharana Shakti is Medha. And both are required if you want to, the person who has person who wants to pursue the knowledge, definitely. And then Uhapo, Vichakshana, etc. are also important. But anyway, what I am saying is, both these powers are required. Now here, this Avipaschit is, where he is not a dumb person, because he is engrossed in the karmas and karma phala of Vedic karmas. So Bhagavan is talking regarding now Vedas. So and still Bhagavan is telling this person is aviveki. He is a non-discriminating person. then what kind of a person? If he's a Vaidika, then he must be having an intellect. Yeah, he is having intellect. But he is having a Medha Shakti. You see this. The people who are Vaidikas, have got training in this Gurukulam. If the small boy and the parents put him in Gurukulam, and then every day he chants and chants and chants, and he has everything, his own branch at least. So Adhyaya Adhyatavyaha, he has the whole branch in his mind. He very well, including even the Veda Bhashyam also, and our Upanishad Bhashyam and all. I have seen in Chennai people, everything by heart. The Sutra, Brahma Sutra by heart, and Jaimini Sutra by heart, and then Shabar Bhashyam, some portion of that by heart. Everything by heart. So Medha Shakti they have. But, sorry, Prajna is not there. So it happens. They have not understood the purport of the Veda. That purport of the Veda is not just karma. There is something even beyond karma, karma phala, and that will definitely puts an end to all our seeking. Moksha is a goal of life, etc. So Purushartha Viveka is not there. So Prajna is not there. Clear understanding is not there, even though Medha is there. And therefore such a people are called here Avipashchita. They have gone through the Vedas and retained so many other things, meanings, everything, but still, so far as Purushartha is concerned, they are not clear. That's how we call them. Avipashchita means those who do not possess Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. For them, these three verses are there. So Bhagavan is talking here about such people who see but not very clearly, who study and believe in the veracity of the Vedas also, but miss the most important teaching of the Vedas, that is Atmajnana. Well, that makes them free forever, and but still they miss. So they believe even also in the existence of the soul. I mean, Jiva lives here. That's how they can talk about Swarga. Otherwise, why to talk about Swarga? Because for Swarga you have to do a karma, Jyotishtoma or any karma you have to do here, in this life. And you will get fruit of this Jyotishtoma called Swarga, etc. after leaving this body. Means the person should remain. The one who has performed the karma, that karta, should survive the body. And then he only gains that as a bhokta he can enjoy Swarga. So they believe also this, that the soul, let's say the soul, Atma, Jivatma, survives this body. And then they believe in the efficacy of various rituals mentioned in the Vedas for accomplishing various ends. And also they believe in the ends like, as I clearly Bhagavan says, Swarga Paraha. They believe in the ends like heaven and even better birth naturally. So if you want, you will go to heaven, not with this body. So you drop this body and you will get another body, and that too, definitely that is a better birth, Devata's body, etc. And so they believe in everything. And that Veda talks about this also, they know very clearly, everything. But only that portion they don't know. They don't know means somehow it doesn't get clicked into them. That what is this Upanishad? What does it talk about? Like Brahmavita Apnoti Param, etc. What is that Param? What is that goal that one can attain? And after that, or what is this that he says that, knowing one thing you know everything else. What does this mean? Even they translate also, but for them it doesn't make clear to them. This kind of science statements doesn't make clear. They are not clear to them. Well, that this is talking about some Purushartha which consumes all other Purusharthas. They talk about, these statements talk about moksha, etc. Well, because when you study your own branch of Veda, definitely whatever the Upanishad is there in that particular branch, you will study. And I have seen that Upanishad by heart, everything by heart, everything. But still, no clarity. So they believe in the capacity of a given ritual to produce a particular desirable result, everything. So definitely they are not ordinary people. Avipashit means generally, we feel that these are all simple tone, etc. No, 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 it's not like they are well versed in Veda, and therefore Vaidikas basically. And they are people who have studied the Shastra and who believe in this validity. So, but these people see, yet they do not see. We have to see like, we have to tell like this. And they are not to be dismissed because they have studied the scriptures. But Shankaracharya ji criticizes them, but because here in this verse, in the Bhashya, he criticizes because they have the words and some arguments which they back up, and even they quote selected verses also. They talk, even sometime you find, even in Upanishad you will find sometime that the glory of karma, etc. You may find some statement, and then definitely those kind of statements they pick up. And there are several statements in the Veda itself. Well, they glorify the karma and karma phala, everything. And definitely punyam definitely is glorified. And though they pick up those statements and quote. That's how they call here Veda Vadarata. And na anyadasti iti vadinah. They say that other than this karma and karma and karma phala, there is no other goal. I mean, Swarga is the ultimate goal, etc. So they talk, argue, and even try to convince others also. Yam imam pushpitam vadam vacham pravadanti. They use very well-known words. Prasiddha vak. Pushpitam vacham means prasiddha vak. It has been translated like this. That are very flowery. And so here this pushpitam vacham, this thing has been explained by several acharyas in different way. Beautiful way they have explained. First thing I will tell you is that one acharya says this the person itself, such a Vaidika, is a tree. He himself is a tree which is flowering lot, like even in this spring season, which has lots of flowers. Even the leaves are covered. Maybe leaves, sometimes leaves are also not there, only flowers. Or sometimes leaves are there, even branches are there, but they are as though covered. Only flowers you will see that. So these people are like these trees which are so flowery. And so these people, they speak words which are as attractive as this flower. As you see this kind of a tree, you are attracted, right? And therefore these people are also they attract many people because their language regarding this karma phala are so attractive. They so they are like a blossoming tree. Pushpitam vacham pravadanti. Other acharya says, of course, Bhashyakara, let me first explain you what Bhashyakara also says. Bhashyakara uses another expression also, more than even prasiddha vak he says. But afterwards he says Shruyamana Ramaniyaha. Shruyamana Ramaniyaha means very nice to hear. The Ramaniyaha Shruyamana means very nice to hear. As you hear the words of them, they are very pleasing and wonderful to the ear. But in fact, there is so much hype in this. So such words are used because people who do not have this eka buddhi, vivasayatmika buddhi. They give a description of Swarga. They give a description of so many karmas which give so much beautiful karma phala. I mean, including like you want to have a wealth, what kind of karmas you should do, they describe elaborately. Then you want a beauty, you want a luster, you want a child, and that too child with a lot of good child. So, well, for that there are so many karmas. And for many things, several types of karmas are there. I mean, restoring health and longevity. I mean, so many karmas. And you want to increase the power of your senses. Well, there is a yajna for that. I mean, so they keep on describing like this. So this yajna is there, and this phalam is there. And like that. And so people get attracted. Why they get attracted, I am going to talk about it a little separately. But this kind of a thing is there. That shows there is no viveka. Definitely Purushada viveka is not there. Basically one wants to have a freedom. And but when freedom from, basically I told you about limitations. So a limitation in the senses is my limitation. Limitation in terms of a body, I mean in terms of even a life, is a limitation pertaining to the Atma. That's what I feel. So basic this indiscrimination is there, but then, and therefore I will have several other goals, given in the Karma Kanda, and the means also, the karmas, Vedic karmas, etc. I mean the rituals, etc. Also, they are the ends. So basically, the people who do not have this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, they will definitely go behind this. When they hear this, a person who talks about it, they are attracted. That's how this person is called a tree who has this flowery language, like a tree in this spring. Well, who is full of flowers, and people are attracted towards it. Same way, lot of people who do not have the discrimination, they also get attracted towards this Vaidika person who is engrossed in this karma phala. For him, the highest goal is Swarga, etc. And they may even study Vedanta also, but only use it for the sake of rituals. So such people revel in revel in many of the Veda Vakyas, and because they state clearly the results accrued in this. You can achieve, and the sadhana means employing for gaining it. So you remain engrossed in that. So that is called Vedavada Rataha. Rataha means engrossed. Engrossed in this Vedavada means engrossed in karma and karma phala. And that is the Purva Bhaga of the Veda. And so they feel that there is answer for that. That's what they say. There is an answer for every solution in the Purva Bhaga of the Veda. That's how they believe. But only now what I want to discuss is Bhagavan says this Pushpitam Vacham. Well, one Acharya says very beautifully that the karma phalas are basically like flowers. In brief explanation I will give you. So this karma phala itself is like the flowers, and because of you are attracted towards flowers ultimately, and that this Veda, this Purva Bhaga of the Veda is a tree which describes so many karma phalas which are nothing but the flowers, and you get attracted towards that. Any person get attracted toward that. And then once you reach to that tree, to the Veda, because of this attraction of karma phala the flowers called karma phala, then ultimately you will take up some means and some end, right? You may not be interested in the beauty, let us say. You may be interested in wealth. And Veda talks about it, that if you want wealth, do this Shri Sukta Homa, or Shri Sukta Japam also is there. You take up that, and you are interested in wealth, and so you pick up. For you, the wealth is an end, Artha is an end, and you pick up the means also called Shri Sukta, and that's how you start. You come under the realm of the Veda. So once you adopt any means and ends of the Veda, you have come under the umbrella of Veda. That's very, very good. It's very good. Why it is very good? Because you can gain wealth through other means also. And maybe the means may not be good. Means you employ may not be good. You means don't think that I'm addressing. Yesterday I told you. Anyway, so basically person can employ any means. If one has a desire for the wealth, any kind of means, which can go against even dharma also, which can temper upon the rights of other people, and those means also you can employ. But if you get attracted, because the Veda particular tree is like a tree of the spring in which lots of flowers are there. If you get attracted towards that, and afterwards you accept a particular end like called wealth, and you accept a means what the Veda says, you will be in the realm of Veda, you will be under the umbrella of Veda, and that does a very good job for you, because you will employ the proper means. Karma Vibhaga also is showing all the means which are acceptable to Ishvara. That's the Ishvara Vani. All the Vidhi Nishedas are nothing but it's all Ishvara Vani only. That is a desire of Ishvara, that you should employ those kind of a means. That is called Vidhi. And then definitely you will be automatically put on the path of Dharma. And of course, through Dharma also you are going to achieve this Artha only. But basically you will definitely adopt a proper means. Anyway, so that way this Veda is a beautiful tree. So Pushpitam Vacham. So Pushpitam is considered here as the tree of the Veda, which has lots of flowers. And like when the fly etc. get attracted, and it sits on a flower, and from that it picks up a pollen etc. and goes to the next flower, and that's how pollination takes place, and the fruit also, and then it fructifies also. And that is how this one gets attracted to us. So we, the jivas who have a lot of desires and who are basically have no clarity regarding means and ends etc., such people, they are like flies. They go near the tree of this Veda, getting attracted by the flowers called karmaphala, and then they are interested in that karmaphala particular end, and they employ that particular means also, what has been shown by the Veda. And that way you remain engrossed. Then that's not enough. Anantaha. And therefore, after the other, once if your wish is fulfilled, like you do Shri Sukta Homa or Shri Sukta Japa, and you gain wealth. That is, I am going to talk about in a little bit, that what should be done in order to make the karma, so it becomes fruitful action, which can give you fruitful action. What should be 5 things are there. One has to employ them. Then definitely it gives. Anyway, then once then you gain a Shraddha. You do Shri Sukta, Japa, etc. and you gain wealth. And then you will definitely, there is another ready. So you are interested in something else, or you are interested in third thing, and third hand, fourth hand, and you employ particular means called ritual, etc. And so you get engrossed into different means, different ends. You have avivasayatmika buddhi. But there is a chance, if person has a prajna, then there is a chance, and by his punya, he can jump the fencing and come to the Upanishad, if at all he has a prajna. If he has no prajna, he remain engrossed in various ends and various means, employed throughout the life, yet remain all the time seeking, because he is in the process of becoming. Once you adopt a process of becoming, you want to become something, then you will become something all the time. There is no end to that. There is no end. In next life also it continues that way. A process of becoming. I want to become that. Enough. In that process, you lose what you are basically. If you want to become something, you have to disregard what you are. And if you disregard what you are, definitely that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is not there. It's what you are is limitless. What you are is basically a liberated soul. I am using word soul now anyway. So you are basically free. You are free, and therefore you are not to become anything. But once you are in that rut, then you definitely have to disregard what you are right now. And that is how. So you will be in the rut of this several means and ends. That is how, that's called avvipaschit. This is how it is happening. Now the question is, why if basically Bhagavan is going to, as though, in a ninda, a censure of this Veda Purva Bhaga, that the people who do not have the clarity regarding these means and ends, they remain engrossed in this kind of a karma and karma phala described in the Purva Bhaga of the Veda and all that. Well, so Bhagavan is indirectly censuring. Then why Bhagavan has to censure like that? Because the Veda is basically his own breath. And and he only has described, you say all Ishwarvana, then why should I have described all these sakam karmas basically? Why he should have described? Then people are interested in, because seeing that it gives a certain fruits, they are attracted because of this kind of flowers. So why should Bhagavan describe that? He should not have described, he should have given just Upanishad. Rigveda means 2-3 Upanishads which are there, Kaushitaki, etc. But that's enough. If you show all this, then they are attracted, and then they are all the time remain engrossed and all. And now you are saying that is not proper who are remain engrossed in this. They have avyavasaya buddhi, etc. And this is basically a samsara, life of becoming. So to begin with, he should not have described in Veda itself. And now you are censuring the Purva Bhaga of the Veda. Bhagavan should not do this kind of a thing. That's a question. So, well, why Bhagavan has done this kind of a thing? Well, we say, and there is a praise also of this punya karmas, etc. So then the acharyas, different acharyas gives a answer for that. They say this desire to be happy person or desire to be secure person is a very, very natural. So the kama is basically very natural in a human being, and it is very difficult to remove them. So in Mahabharata, etc., they have described sarvam kamasya cheshtitam, sarvam kamasya cheshtitam. Whatever karmas, actions one does, they are all propelled by this kamana only. Kamana means, you now understand, I have already translated it. Kamana means a desire to gain object of happiness or to gain object of security, etc. is kamana here. So any action is basically propelled by this desire. And therefore, all our activity, basically, not one or two actions, all our activity in the human life is all the time backed by this types of desire. And that is, they call it as a cheshta. Cheshta means activity. Activity in a human life is based on this, it is backed by this kind of a desire to gain happiness and security. And this activity, this cheshta, in Sanskrit it is called cheshta, in English we call it as activity. Well, this Nayayika says beautifully regarding, they define this cheshta or activity like ishta, anishta, prapti, parihara, ichha, prayuktam, karma, cheshta, iti uchyate. Ishta, anishta, prapti, parihara. Ishta, prapti, anishta, parihara. Ichha, prayuktam, karma, cheshta. So, one does a karma, one does an action in order to gain a desired end. Ishta, prapti. And anishta, parihara. And also one does an action in order to avoid a undesirable. And so the whole activity, say series of actions, is basically based on gaining a desired end and or avoiding a undesired. And therefore, that is called cheshta, it's called activity. And this cheshta and the activity is centered on the body. Body is a ashraya of this cheshta. So cheshta, indriya, artha, ashraya, shariram, that's how they define. But anyway, so every human being or every living being as such, but here we talk about human being, every human being is having various desires of security and pleasure, and that is how this activity will be there. So sarvam kamasya cheshtitam, Mahabharata says that is very, very true. Sarvam, everything is ultimately cheshtitam. Sarvam cheshtitam means all the activities is born of kamasya cheshtitam, is born of ultimately this desire. And therefore, to fulfill that desire, one definitely, the human being puts a lot of efforts. And one does not worry about the means. That's an end, of course. This all, fulfilling this kind of a desire of a security and pleasure, etc. These are the ends, and one will not worry about the means. And therefore, if like I told you that even you gain, even in order to gain wealth, etc., well, you don't bother the means. You means person. I mean, in VC also, only end is important, means is not important. And therefore, people employ varieties of the means, and well, in some of the means are immoral also, and some of the means are moral, in order to achieve the wealth. And what is the reason, Swamiji, why people employ, certain people employ immoral means and some employ immoral means, etc.? Well, depending upon one's own samskara, etc., and well, definitely one employs the means. But basically, even to acquire wealth, most of the means, let's talk in even openly little, that most of the means today what we employ are generally are having all adharma in the activity. So people say also, if you just stick to the dharma, you won't gain anything, and therefore adharma in terms of even dishonesty, etc., will be there. And in general, there are people who do not, but in general, so definitely, and the desire is there. That's a pressure. A desire to be happy person, desire to be secure, and that's how one wants wealth, definitely, because money has a buying power. So even if you so-called object of happiness which is there in your mind, a desired object, even if you want to have, definitely you have to buy it, or somebody else to buy for you, whatever it may be. But ultimately money has that buying power to give you it, and money provides you some security also. So happiness and security, etc., well, you have that basic desire, and so for you consider the wealth as a desirable end for that, in order to fulfill that desire. And so the means are not important then, because you want to gain that wealth in order to be secure and happy. And therefore, basically, Veda has to be like a tree, which and it should be a flowery tree, so that these people, like flies, they should be attracted towards that. And well, and then if they are attracted, and when they reach there, they will find definitely that yes, for fulfilling our desire called wealth, there are several means. Not Sri Suktam, there are several means. In Veda, it has several. Of course, we for us, basically Vedanta is, they remain on the other side of the fence, and in the field of Vedanta, and they say all this is mithya and all karma and karma phala are anityam and all that. But I tell you, if you enter into that, you will also get, I mean, this is just an example. Don't think that you people are basically all sadhakas. But what I am saying is, there is all chance that we also get attracted. At least we feel that, yeah, my health is not, not remaining proper. Like if you go to a supermarket, you will always find, yeah, this is useful to me. You are in a home, then you don't find all this. If you reach to this big market, then you find that, yeah, this is useful to me, this is useful to me, and you fill up the whole basket and come. Every time whenever you go, you decide that I will not buy anything. Then why should you go there itself is a question, but still we go. And I will just take a round in that market and I will come back. No one comes back as it is. You always find something useful. This is exactly like that. If you enter into the Purva Bhaga of the Veda, and you find several means and ends on both the sides, and then you will feel, yeah, at least, I am not keeping, and Swami also was, all the Swamis talk about a good health, etc., because shariram eva khalu dharma sadhanam, etc., moksha sadhanam, and therefore we should have a proper strength and health and the power in the senses, and our mind also should be fully equipped and all that. And at least I should have those kind of, employ those kind of means for these different ends. And then you are stuck into that. You are stuck, one after the other, because you will gain result, I am telling you. If you go by what I am going to say now, if you do that way, definitely you will gain it. I am going to talk about this. Bhagavad has already talked in chapter 17 of our Bhagavad Gita itself. So those 4 or 5 factors are there. If you take care, any means becomes fruitful. It will give you desire. That's for sure. and well, then you are stuck there. But what I am saying is, the person, after employing certain means and getting certain ends, desirable ends, etc., he should have a pariksha lokan karma chitan, but he doesn't have the prajna. If a person does not have that prajna, a understanding why Veda is, what is the purport of the Veda, why they just want to show us a different ends and means, that is what the Veda is, or Veda has some other purport for our human life. Because basically I am a seeker, and I get a different ends, desire ends, and I employ different means, and still after getting desire ends, I remain a seeker all the time. The seeking never ends. Then does the Veda provide a solution for that or not? Because Veda is called Sarva Artha Atmakaha. Veda is Sarvagnya basically. Sarvagnya in terms of not that a person who is having all knowledge, etc. Means it gives you all the ends, and it shows you all the ends, and it shows the various means also for that. That's how I'm saying. Because different types of people are there. For different types of people, there are different ends and different means also has been shown. That way, Veda we call it as a Sarvagnya, not in other sense. But basically, so, the person should definitely think over that Veda must be provided, because if Veda is showing me certain means and ends which really I can fulfill, yet I remain seeker, then my goal must be ultimately to get a freedom from seeking. Then does the Veda provide a solution for that or not, so that I can become free from the seeking? And he has to jump the fencing, right? He has to come to Vedanta. But if he doesn't come, then it is not useful. But Veda basically is describing all these karmas, sakama karmas, so that people get attracted. Pushpitam vacham. So basically to attract all the jivas to attract all the flies towards itself. And ultimately it wants to convey this thing also, that ultimately you can become free from the seeking itself. When you have approached me, well, you are seeker. And you have fulfilled a lot of ends through the means which I have shown to you. But ultimately you should really think that to end this seeking itself, well, to end the seeker itself, well, there are means, and that is the end. There is an end also. And that also Veda shows. So ultimately to show if you directly tell that you don't require anything in your life, you tell to a seeker that you don't require anything in your life, ultimately what you are seeking is yourself and all that, I tell you, no one will come to that tree. So the tree has to be flowery to attract this kind of flies like us, and then it should put you into that, the track of this karma phala, the various means and ends, and ultimately your Shraddha will definitely enhance by that. If you have a certain desire end in your life, and where Veda says this is a means for it, and you employ that means properly, well, properly means with the 5 factors which I am going to talk, well, then definitely you will get a desire end. Then your Shraddha in the Veda will increase. And every time you get a desire end, by employing a means given by the Veda, your Shraddha in this Pramana increases very much. And that makes you enable ultimately to come to Vedanta also. But many people do not come. Many people jump the fencing. Many people do not jump the fencing. They remain in that. And they remain in that, within that boundaries. For janmas. For janmas they remain like that. Karma phala. Chakkar. This is how it is. Anyway, so now I will talk about if you have a particular desire end, well, and then you should employ the means properly, definitely. And then Bhagavan has told in verse 7, chapter 17, Bhagavan says, Vidihinam asrushtanam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddhavi rahitam yajnam tamasam parichakshate. Here as Bhagavan has shown these 5 factors which makes the means fruitless, which does not give the fruit. Even though you employ a particular ritual, particular karma, and in order to get a desired end, but that karma does not convert to karma phala if these five factors are not taken into account. And Bhagavan call it as a tamasam karma. Tamasam yajna, Bhagavan says. Yajna means any karma we can take. Tamasam yajna means the yajna, the ritual, of course, in karma kanda, if it's a ritual, then will not result into your desired end. It will not convert into a desired end. Well, if these five factors are not taken into account. So what is the first factor? What we should, if we want a desired end through a particular karma, well, then the first thing is we will have to take care of the action. It should be vidhivat. What is this vidhivat, etc.? I think I will have to talk to you tomorrow because the time is over, because it's a five factors I will have to talk about. It takes a few minutes, but I will do it tomorrow now. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.